Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Linda Joy, publisher of Aspire Magazine, the premier inspirational digital magazine for women since 2006. I have a question for you. I want you to sit with this thought for a moment. Imagine having everything you need within you to live the life you were intended for, a life of greater joy, self-confidence, and inner peace, no matter your circumstances. That's a portion of the wisdom that my special guest is going to be sharing today. Joining me is Lisa Hromada. She's going to be sharing how your life opens when you harness the power of your mind and align with your soul. Lisa is an Empowered Lifeview guide, life transformation mentor, and founder of loveistheseed.com, a spirit-led life work dedicated to empowering and inspiring women to embrace a spiritual solution-centered lifestyle so they can find greater connection with their wisdom and co-create a divinely empowered life. Through her Empowered Lifeview teachings and programs, Lisa guides women in discovering the 4 Empowered Lifeview principles, and we'll be talking about that more in the show. Principles that powerfully lead women to the most important revolution any woman can make, and that is that you have everything you need right now to live a life of joy, purpose, fulfillment, and a deeper sense of peace. Lisa is also the author of 2 enlightening and soul-inspiring books called Love is the Seed, Teachings from the Spirit World, and the second book, The 3 Supreme Gifts, a practical approach to self-mastery and to transforming your life here and now. I got to say, I'm excited to have Lisa here because I know her work. I know her commitment to serving and empowering women. So Lisa, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you. I am so excited and honored to be here today.
Well, we've had many personal conversations. I've always been drawn to your message in your work. For our listeners, bring us back to the moment when the Empowered Lifeview whole, essence was born.
Right. The Empowered Lifeview came about. The term of Empowered Lifeview came about a little bit later, but it originated from a time of loss and a time of struggle and suffering within me, where I came to a point of awakening where I knew that I needed something different. I knew there was something different, and I knew it could not come from me alone. In this time of suffering, I had nowhere else to go for peace and answers. So for me, I went into prayerful surrender and this tearful conversation with my divine source. And I call my divine source God, but you can call it the universe, divine source, this energy of love, anything you want to call it, it's all the same. But in so many words, I said, I give myself and my life to you. And if you have a purpose for me, please reveal it to me differently, not through a time of this struggle and suffering, but something that is empowering me so that I might know more and know so that you know what's in my heart. I declared what was in my heart. I knew what I wanted for my life, and I declared that. And I just said, hey, I give myself and my life to your purpose, and just seeing where that would lead me. And then I started to embrace doing empowering things for myself on every part of who I am. Because in that time of suffering, I know for many women, when we go through struggles, it can affect the thoughts that we think, what we feel, how our body feels, the actions that we take, and it can also affect our spiritual connection. And so I said, okay, I'm going to do everything that I can possibly do to empower my body by doing good things for my body. I was going to focus on that. I'm going to do things to empower my thoughts. So I focused on that. How I feel. So focusing on the blessings in my life, and to my spiritual connection. So really kind of going within more. And when that happened, a big release happened, a big weight off of me came off, and I was really able to open my life up in so many wonderful ways. And this is what led to this empowered life view, that we come here with empowerments, divine empowerments.
Well, that's what I love about your work. And I noticed that many of the women I'm drawn to that are here with like a sacred soul project, it the most powerful healers and leaders, it comes from their own experiences of pain and transformation. And that's what all your work was born from, your own, as you just shared. So, Lisa, as you learned and leaned in and gave it over, because we have a similar path that I dance with the divine, right? Like
Right.
that's my conversation. So, was it hard at first because you were kind of building trust muscles, right? Because this was almost like a new relationship.
Right. It's a daily practice. And
Okay.
the interesting thing is that I grew up with different spiritual experiences. So I knew I had this connection with my soul and the spirit world and to the divine. And so I had these different spiritual experiences with um, making connections with loved ones, making connections with what I knew were my spirit guides, getting signs and the understand the synchronicities in life, and feeling guided, right? And yet you can still get stuck in your problems, right? The things that are not going right, and you can focus on those so much that you get yourself out of the energy of really truly empowering yourself, when this is what you were given in this life, the ability to empower yourself towards something better, but not just yourself. But when you do so, you're also able to give it to other people, right? You're able to give it out. You're able to be more purposeful. You're able to inspire others, to empower others, just by doing so for yourself.
Oh, I so get that. And that's why you're so dedicated to getting this message out there because you know the peace that you found with these daily practices. So let's talk about that for a moment because, as I mentioned in the intro, the Empowered Life View really has 4 Empowered Life View principles. Would you take a few moments to share what those are?
Sure, I'd love to. So it stems from um, what we know as like our 4 bodies. We have the emotional body, the mental body, the physical body, and the spiritual body. So, and these are the divine tools that we are given in this life, to live in a way where we do empower ourselves, we do live in love, we experience more joy, we boost our self-confidence, that we can go out there and do what we our soul wants us to do in this life, the reason why we came into this life. And so I speak about the mind view, which is our thoughts, and our thoughts are our creator. It's the way that we form our beliefs and how we feel, and it affects everything. And then we have our heart view, which is our emotions, and to be present with the emotions, but also to shift and flip the switch on them sometimes in a way that empowers us and can empower others as well. And then we have our form view, which is our body, and that's our sacred home on earth. Our soul has chosen us for a reason, and we come into this human body, and it allows us to do so many things in this life. And I think sometimes we take that for granted, but it is our home on earth. And then there's that soul view, and that's our true self. It's our connection to the divine, it's the connection to flow, it's the connection to this spiritual energy of solutions that flows throughout life. And so those are the 4 main areas of focus where we can empower ourselves on a daily basis, on a moment by moment basis, to really live the life that we came here to live.
And I love them because we can't, I don't want to say we can't, we need to work with all four levels, all four principles, because if not, we're out of balance, right? And I know that's true for my own journey, is like I went so far into my spiritual work and emotional work that I let the physical lapse, right? Just using that as an
Right.
example. And then other times it's like, well, I got to take care of my physical health just to catch it back up again. It's finding this beautiful balance of working with all four in listening to all four. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be difficult. I know that sometimes it can seem overwhelming and like a to-do task, right? Oh, I need to do this, I need to take care of this. Oh, but I need to have time for this. But it doesn't have to take a lot of time to nurture each. And it's about when we can increase our level of awareness in how we're feeling or what we're doing or what it really gets us down to what really matters to us, right, in our life. Because when we know what's really important at this time or on this particular day or at this moment, we can move things around so that we can take a few minutes here to just go within and find the space between our thoughts, right? And or we could take a moment to take a 5-minute walk just to get our body moving, get that energy moving again. So it doesn't have to take a long period of time to sort of nurture these particular areas that that are really make the whole of our life.
It's so beautiful. And I love like the clarity in your message, right? And what I mean by that is you help us understand how this all relates to our lives. Like as I'm listening, I'm like, oh yeah, I have to be more conscious that I'm working with all four principles. So I just wanted to share that with you because you have a beautiful way of explaining things. So we're going to take our first break. And when we come back, Lisa, I'd love to dive into how we actually begin living the empowered life view that we were created for, like maybe some daily practices or whatever you feel led to share.
Great.
We'll be back in a moment, my friends. You can learn more about Lisa and her work at loveistheseed.com. We'll be right back.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM radio network.
Inspiration for a woman's soul. Aspire Magazine, inspiring and supporting women on the path of self-discovery. Claim your free digital subscription today, which includes access to thousands of dollars of personal development bonus gifts from Team Inspiration partners. Claim your Aspire Magazine subscription today at subscribetoaspire.com.
Hey America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America in your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTRFM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM radio network.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. And my special guest, Lisa Hromada. of loveistheseed.com. And we've been talking about the Empowered Life View, the principles, how it can make such a positive impact and transformation in your lives. So, Lisa, for those who are listening, how could we begin integrating the Empowered Life View principles into our life?
Well, from my experience, it's first about aligning our thoughts, beliefs, and life perspective with the truth of our soul. So, with the truth of who we are beyond our conditioning and beyond our story. We want to begin by making the choice to focus on what's going to lead us to a life of greater joy, self-confidence, and inner peace. What are those things that are going to lead us? And I've created a 3-part equation, so to speak, to living an empowered life view that I think would be beneficial to share and kind of give us an idea of how this this kind of comes together.
I
So
love it. Yes,
the
please.
first part is to understand and embrace the truth of who you are, this sacred truth. We come here into this life and we come guided and supported and with a special purpose. And we come with what I call 3 supreme gifts. And this came through, that ended up being the 3 supreme gifts, the book, is just sharing this, that we are created from the light of divine love, that is within us, that is our true essence, and that's within us. And we come into this life that's going to be filled with contrast. It's been termed a problems-centered learning school, a divine problem-centered learning school, that we come here into this human experience. But the beautiful thing is we are divinely given 3 supreme gifts of a love, thought, and free will. And so it's about understanding these 3 gifts in our life and how we express it and how we experience it, the giving and receiving. And so then once you have this first part of the equation of understanding and embracing who you really are, the second part of this is to learn and practice being the leader of your mind and the leader of your life. That we have certain beliefs that we've developed over time, and some of the beliefs disempower us. They hinder us from the happiness that we want to experience and the life that we want to experience. And these beliefs sort of lead into our thoughts and how we feel and the actions we take and the results that we get, and then how we interpret those as results. So you really want to get in touch with those core beliefs that that you're embracing right now. And if those beliefs need to shift into the greater truth of who you are, which is love-based, it is love. And then the third part of this equation is to consistently and repetitively practice nurturing your inner and your outer environment from a place of love and from a place of solutions and what's possible. And when you do this, you naturally come into the flow of this divine energy that flows all throughout life, flows through you and me and all of creation and nature. And it's such a beautiful thing, and you feel it within yourself.
And I've witnessed your journey in the time that we've known together and how connected you are to that place of peace, from that place of energy as you describe. And I feel the same way. I feel we are so divinely connected. We just forget that we are. Have you found that too? Like, we're born with this connection to all that is. We just forget. And if I'm hearing correctly, the Empowered Life View is about bringing you back to your truth, bringing you back to your source, whatever that name may be.
Right, because what I've learned and experienced through the teachings of spirit that started Love is the Seed, is that we are created from this love. We know as soul that we will always be guided, supported, and loved throughout every experience that we have. And if we ever need support, this is where we can go within ourselves, our connection, and for that support and guidance, and it will always be there. we have to just be able to focus on that rather than getting into this energy of problems that does exist in this life. And there's a purpose, there's a special purpose that we experience challenges, but it is for the purpose of love. And sometimes it can be hard to understand that as we go through these challenging experiences or just in the challenging thoughts that we think sometimes, to understand that love is in there. But what it's doing is the purpose is awakening us to understanding a deeper sense of ourselves that is based in love. So, a very simple thing to do that gets us there is to just, as best as possible, express yourself with love, do things out of love. And what I mean by love is all the expressions of love: compassion, patience, humility, non judgment, non attachment. I imagine if we can just do little practices throughout the day toward ourselves as well as toward the people who we come in contact with, how much good we can bring into the world. And this is our one of our special purposes as soul coming into this life.
So beautiful. And this is really resonating with my truth, as I'm sure it is with so many women that are listening. There's a phrase that you used, and you mentioned it here, but in your work, which I am really drawn to just as a woman on a spiritual path. And you talk a lot about living a spiritual solutions centered lifestyle. And you just touched on it a moment ago. So what does it mean? You and I know what it means, but for someone listening right now who, like you said, may be caught in the thoughts and negative and looking at everything bad that they may be thinking is wrong with their life. I love your whole philosophy of spiritual solution centered. So could you talk about that, Lisa?
Sure. So, what this means is that from my experiences in what I've learned and experienced myself through my own challenges and the practices that I've done, is that it means to live in a way where we focus on what's possible, and we understand that solutions don't just come from our mind. And we can get very frustrated when we're trying to figure out an answer or a solution, when we're just trying to really rack our brain about it. And it can leave us feeling stuck and frustrated and angry and disconnected from our source because we're wondering why things aren't coming together. But the beautiful thing about this spiritual solution centered lifestyle is that you do what you can and within your control in a way that is love based and empowering. And you give the rest, right? When I was going through, you give the rest to spirit, to your source, to help empower what you desire and what's within the divine timing and purpose for, because only the divine knows the timing and purpose for things to really bring about good change in the world and for your life. So when I was experiencing what I was experiencing when I was going through my time of challenge, I had come to that point that I was going to do what I could do to help make what I wanted to happen, the inner peace, the joy, the purpose, the fulfillment. I was going to do my part because that's all I can do. That's all I'm responsible for is my part. What can I do? And then I place the rest in divine hands. And that is stepping into this spiritual solution centered lifestyle.
I love it because there's something you just said that you do your part. I call that inspired action. I call that meeting the divine in the middle, because I can only speak from my truth, Lisa. There was a time when I was first on the spiritual path. It's like, okay, here's my order. I'm waiting for you to deliver it to me. You know, I'd be like that with the divine, like place an order, like I was at takeout, but I didn't do my stuff. I didn't step into trust. I didn't take the action steps because I thought it was like a miracle. Not a miracle, place an order and the divine will deliver. And what I'm hearing you say is you keep taking the next best step and meet the divine in the middle. So you're like showing the divine, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, even though I can't see all the steps.
Yeah, I can't see what's going to happen.
So that's trust. So this has
Right.
really built, this whole process has really strengthened your trust, not only in the divine, but it sounds like in yourself and your ability to let go.
Yeah, and it gives a woman the ability to say, I have everything I have within me to take the action that I know that I can take. And if I can take it in a place of trust, in a place of love, in a place of compassion for myself as well as those around me, and be patient, practice patience, practice humility, and that humility aspect is huge for just living this divinely guided life. If I can do that, then the rest will automatically sort of be taken care of. We won't always get exactly what we want when we want it, but you know what? It's the faith that and the truth and the belief that it doesn't really matter, because we know all good things come when we live as best to our ability in this energy of love, which is our true self.
Yes, and something you just said about it may not come as we wish it or at the time we want it. And one of my biggest spiritual lessons in the last 30 years was, so I used to like take a temper tantrum, right? Like, but I'm manifesting here, and you being the divine aren't doing what I expected. And now I picture the divine up there going, well, you want this, but I have something so much bigger for you, but you can't see it. So you're going to
Yeah.
have to trust. And when I finally got that, I'm not saying I don't take temper tantrums sometimes, because I do.
Hmm.
And then I remember my truth, Lisa, that the divine always has our back, right? And I love that you just keep leaning into trust, even though you can't see the next step. And there was something that really touched me many years ago. It could have been a meme, but like we will go out in a storm and fill, a road, curvy road covered in fog. And we're trusting that we can keep driving, even though the headlights only show like 10 feet ahead in a fog, and we keep driving. So why can't we do that in life?
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
Right? And give it to
Yeah.
the divine. We're willing to
Yeah.
do that, and we keep driving, even though we can't see. And that moment I saw that, I'm pretty sure it was a meme. I was like, oh, shoot, what a way to get a message delivered. And that's really what you're talking about, right? Like, just keep trusting, doing your next best step, staying aligned with trust, as well as the vision you hold in your heart for that which you desire.
Right. Yeah, there's something I had spoken about previously, and I speak about how we have three stories to our life. There's a story that we write, there's a story that's being written through us, and there's a story that we can co-write with God or
Ooh.
with our divine source or with the universe, right? This flow of
Mhm.
love. And I love these three stories because it speaks to the story that we write, which is, hey, this is what I'm trying, this is what I'm going out for, this is what I think my purpose is, this is what I feel drawn toward, this is what I want to pursue, this is the goals that I want. And then, but there's also the story that's being written through us, and it's always based in love and guidance and support. And then there's a story that can come together, right? There's a story that can come together of um, co-writing, co-creating, and this is why we come into this life, is to be able to bring that together. And when we bring that together, it makes such a difference in the world.
I got to tell you, in our private conversation, we got to talk about that, because I love those three elements. Like I was getting visuals in my mind. So we got to talk about that on an upcoming call, my friend. So that is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. Lisa, we're going to take another break. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the most common barriers holding women back from having more peace and joy in their life. I'll be back in a moment, my friends. I'm with Lisa Hromada, Empowered Lifeview Guide, Life Transformation Mentor, and founder of loveistheseed.com. We'll be right back.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Are you ready to create and live the divinely guided life intended for you? A life not bound by your past or tied to a specific future. A life beyond your fears and what ifs, that is filled with limitless possibilities. Experiencing an empowered life of fulfillment, joy, and connection is possible when you embrace a spiritual, solutions-centered lifestyle. Through her transformational teachings and programs, Lisa Hromada, Empowered Lifeview Guide, Life Transformation Mentor, and founder of Love is the Seed, empowers women to break the barriers holding them back from living their sacred truth so they can find greater connection with their inner wisdom and their divine source to co-create a life that brings peace, joy, and self-acceptance. Visit loveistheseed.com for positive guidance and valuable resources to support you in embracing an empowered life view.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Healing Light, on OMTimes Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Healing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I am so grateful that you are listening in today. There's so much wisdom being shared by my dear friend, Lisa Hromada. You can learn more at loveistheseed.com. So Lisa, from your own journey and the work you've done with clients and your community, what are some of the most common barriers holding women back from having more peace and joy in their life?
From my experiences, it stems from where we're putting our focus and the thoughts that we are allowing ourselves to believe many times, because we can often get stuck in feeling unworthy, not deserving, unloved. And these are all perspectives, right? It's the way that we're perceiving things based on past experiences, and they can leave us feeling stuck. So what it's doing, right, is it's showing us, the universe, let's say, is revealing to us where we need to practice, right? We need to practice self-love, whether it's self-love, that increasing your self-esteem, the self-value, and that understanding, coming back to that truth that we are born whole, complete, guided, supported, valued, valuable, loved, lovable, all those things that we know as soul before coming into this life. We know who we are. And like we spoke about before, we come into this life and we forget all that. And there's a reason why we forget all that, because through the process of reawakening to it, we deepen these areas within ourselves, within our soul. And not just that, but through that process, we also empower our lives. We come into this life for various reasons: to learn, heal, grow, co-create, or to contribute something, and to fulfill a unique soul purpose. And in this process of doing so, we are practicing the values and virtues of love. And that's that the whole work of Love is the Seed, is that this is it. Love is the seed. And this is what we're learning to realize and come into more fullness about in this life, is the compassion, and this could be for yourself, on yourself, or toward others, compassion, that patience, the non-attachment or non-judgment. I mean, can you imagine placing those aspects and those divine virtues of love on yourself? And this is what empowers, right? This is what empowers us. We have everything within us to live the life that we desire to live. And it may not come to fruition in exactly the way that we want. However, it's all going to beautifully come together when we can come into the truth of this love, these loving aspects of ourselves.
That is so powerful. And, I'm looking back at my life, just listening to the principles you've shared. And I can see that even in my darkest days, what I thought at that time was my darkest days, those moments, and this is for our listeners, where you think you will never get through something. I see now, Lisa, and I'm curious if this is your truth, that everything I went through, even those deeply painful moments, was to prepare me for who I am now and the work I'm meant to do in the world. I couldn't be who I am in this moment in that if I didn't have those experiences. So it's kind of like you said, we're being prepared, right? The things that come even in our darkest times, when we keep focus on love, it shifts everything. And was that your experience too, that you can see now that even in your most painful moments, there was a reason that led you to this work?
Yeah, looking back, I can see a theme, right? I can see a theme happening of certain divine practices of love that I was being guided toward deepening. So that could be self-worth, self-love, self-confidence, being confident within myself, that and so these things I can see in hindsight, right, that there are ways of practicing so that I can come to this point. Now, also, I love this idea of looking back at the sequence of your life, right? How things kind of came together or how they built upon each other, right? Because previously, career-wise, I was not stepping into this work at that moment. But what happened was, when I was doing other things in my life, I was building the skills and to be able to, when the timing was right, to step into this higher path and higher potential for me, right?
Yes.
For just me, right? And be able to have the confidence to be able to embrace it, but also to believe that even through my fear, let's say the fear of putting myself out there in this way of bringing love as the seed to fruition, starting that out honestly was quite scary for me, because I was going to put myself out there. I was going to put myself on video. I was going to be speaking. And for a introverted, shy girl, as I believed myself to be growing up, who didn't have much of a voice, but at the same time, I knew within the deepest part of myself that this was what I was being called to do. And this goes back to that time where I said to my divine source, I give my life to your purpose, to be flowed through me. And so I had to go out there in faith. And I love something that you say. You say, is your, what do you call it? Is your fear bigger than?
Yeah, I have an affirmation.
You do.
My dreams are much larger than any false fears that may arise.
Right. And that's embracing that the truth that we may not know within our mind, but we know within the deepest part of our soul that we have everything that we need, and to have greater faith in ourselves, and to have, because as a part of ourself, we are infinitely and lovingly guided and supported. And this has been reinforced for me in my own spiritual experiences, in that I'll talk to my spirit guides, within my mind, or within my quiet moments or meditation, or I'll talk to my divine source as my best friend. There's no particular way that you need to do it. Just talk to your divine source as your friend, and know that you'll always be supported. And when I do so, I get these little signs of acknowledgement, whether that be in a dream or I see certain number sequences. Recently, it's been water, where I see little water droplets in the shape of a heart or a happy face. And so, and that's all these little tiny things. When you're thinking something particular and then you notice something, that's your sign that you're being supported and guided, and not to worry so much. I always get told, stop thinking so much. I've been told that for years. I tend to overthink things, and I've gotten out of that. It's been a practice, but for me, I've gotten out of that, of thinking so much and just allowing more.
Yeah, and I've known you for a while now, and I was going to say, and it ties back to what you were sharing about when you chose, even as an introvert, to start stepping out with this message and knowing at a soul level that this is what you're meant to do. And I have to say, I as a friend and as a guest on this show, you live the Empowered Lifeview message. I witness it all the time. I witness you receiving a challenge, and I'm like, step out, do this, and you're like, ooh, this is really uncomfortable, and I'm going to do it. That's the Empowered Life View, right? Like, okay, fear is going to come up in life, no matter what area of life it is. The Empowered Life View is knowing that you're always divinely guided and supported, even when it's uncomfortable.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and you live it, Lisa. I got to say, I mean, I have a lot of people on the show over the last 6 years, a lot of messengers, a lot of extraordinary guests, and I've witnessed you live your message over and over again. So I just wanted to say that, because when someone is listening here, our guest today, and they're like, oh, but Lisa can do that, I can't. Listen, I've only known Lisa for a short time, and I've witnessed so much of her wisdom and practices, and she's been an inspiration to me. You all know my story. So if you're sitting there right now listening to the show going, but I can't do that. I don't know how to come out of fear-based thinking or how to trust myself. Well, I'm going to invite you to listen to this conversation. Visit loveistheseed.com. Check out Lisa's books, Love is the Seed and The Three Supreme Gifts. When you get to her website, you're going to see a really supportive free gift. You're going to see a program. In other words, open your arms up to receive the love and support from someone who has been there, someone who can guide you through it. But it takes the first step, as Lisa's been talking about, of there's no accident that you listen to this conversation today, right? So take the next step and go, I'm just going to lean in. I'm going to visit Lisa's site. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to follow her on Facebook, And so I just wanted to add that, Lisa, because I feel blessed that you're part of my life. I'm glad you're here on the show. So yes, I went on a little sidetrack, but I wanted to gush on you. So let's go back to our conversation. So if someone is feeling overwhelmed by a situation, or maybe things happen in the world, what's a way they can become more centered and find peace and even joy in those moments?
The greatest question I love to ask in these moments, I love to just go right to it. I say, what is the solution? If I don't ask that question, or what is the possible solution? If I don't ask that question, I will stay stuck in why I am upset or angry or frustrated, or why this is not going right, this shouldn't be happening. You can get stuck in this cycle of all these thoughts and emotions, and they will repeat over and over again until you are the leader of your mind and the leader of your life and the leader of your emotions, right? So, and because I live in solutions, right, I say, okay, what is the possible solution in this moment? And the possible solution is always going to be a combination of two things. Well, first, there's going to be short-term solutions and then long-term solutions. So I say, what's the short-term solution? Okay, the short-term solution is, how am I going to feel better or make things better in this moment? And then later on, you can do this long-term solution. What could be the long-term solution? Do I need to implement practices to harness that power of my mind? Do I need to go and take more time for meditation or relaxation? Is there some action that I need to take to make something better within this relationship, or within the relationship with my beliefs on finances or abundance? Or so it's about shifting from this energy of problems that we can get stuck in to the energy of solutions. And that's where love and clarity and answers manifest from. So when we can focus on the solution, what the possible solution could be, what's within our control, and what we need to place in the hands of the divine, then we get out of that frustrating cycle of thoughts and emotions, and we can see with greater clarity, and we could feel the peace within us, and we can focus then on the other things that we either need to do that's going to bring us more joy. We can just refocus. It's like flipping the switch. I'm not going to be in my problems. I'm going to focus on what the possible solution is as quickly as I can.
Ooh, powerful. And I know there's research out there that says your ego, the other part, the part of us that likes to focus on fear, it always needs something to do. And what I'm hearing is, by asking that question, it's given that ego part of us, that negative Nelly, I call mine, right? Something else to focus on other than the negative commentary that it was running. So I love that. And I love that it's possibility based. Because when we're caught up in that cycle of fear and what's going on in the world, it's not possibility. It keeps us in a spiral. So everything that I'm hearing from our conversation today is all about possibility.
Absolutely. And I think that when we focus on possibility, we empower others to focus on possibility, the other people who are around us, because that energy feeds on other energy. I'm personally not willing anymore to feed off of like the negative energy, because I know within the deepest part of myself that there's always going to be a solution if we can focus on what because there's always a purpose behind the things that happen around us, or the things that happen in the world. So can we empower ourselves? Can we empower other people through focusing on something that's more empowering, something that could be a solution, something that's of the greater possibilities, based in love, with love at the seed? Then this is what's going to just lift up everything around you and create that flow.
Yes, and I think we all need that focus now more than ever, because of the world is moving so fast. Look at social media; we're always connected, so there's always stuff coming at us from every direction. And by focusing on solutions then instead of problems, it helps us recalibrate and remind us of the truth of who we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we're called to do. That's really what our soul wants for us. And the purpose, one of the purposes that our soul comes and chooses us for a reason, to be who we are for a reason, and be able to just transform things, to contribute. And that's really the essence of love, is the giving and receiving of it. And it will always happen. And that's what creates the flow.
Yeah, and there was something you said earlier too, Lisa, about, I'll put it in my words, but it was really about we inspire others when we're tapped into these energies. Like it's a ripple effect of that affects the people in our life, whether it's our immediate family or outside ourselves. I want to be that beacon of change from those I love and all that. So I monitor what's the energy I'm bringing to this family, to this relationship. So the Empowered Lifeview is really a set of tools and processes and strategies that help us align with our truth, which then creates a ripple effect outside of us that I believe can change the world.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? So
Yeah,
amazing.
like this whole conversation, that's what I've heard is, if we want change, we have to become it.
Right.
First off,
Yeah.
energetically. Radiate love, as you've been saying all along. Don't feed the fear that's causing the distress in your life and in the world. Nurture the love and watch that get bigger instead.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. That's exactly right.
And we have about 2 minutes left. So Lisa, is there any guidance or strategy you would like to invite women to try?
I think it's just the small practices. I would say it's the small practices that we can do on a moment by moment basis to like let's say preventative practices like we do for our health, right? We do things to to help us stay healthy, and that is two things: is focusing on what's going to empower your mind and what's going to keep you connected to your own inner wisdom and your divine source. So really focusing on those two areas. Like what are you viewing? What are you watching? What are you hearing? Is it empowering you to be your highest and best self? And what are you telling yourself? Really focusing on that, and then that connection in stillness, because that's really where you're going to find who you really are and connect with that inner empowerment, because that's really what it's all about. What my work is all about is empowering other women to know that they have everything that they need to live a life of greater joy, self-confidence, and inner peace on a daily basis.
Beautifully said, my friend, beautifully said. And I want to invite everyone to visit loveistheseed.com. And you are going to find there the Divine Reset program. And we have just a moment, Lisa. I just want you to describe what that is. You can visit loveistheseed.com and go to /programs to learn more. But Lisa, just give a quick overview of your Divine Reset program.
Yeah, this is based off of this whole experience of flipping the switch, so to speak, on your life to really empower yourself to move forward. So it does focus on those two main aspects of your spiritual connection, your truth, and reformatting or re-ingraining the truth in you. So it's about focusing on those beliefs, those thoughts, those emotions, the actions that you take, things like that, in a really easy, concise way, and like really easy to grasp and to practice on a daily basis. And it's filled with these like an empowering, re-scripting type of guided meditation week by week to really ingrain the truth of who you are, really come back to that so that you can live more fully with greater joy, with a happier mind, and with a greater self-confidence that it just in moving forward with your life in a really loving and empowering way.
Thank you, my friend, for sharing that. And I want to invite everyone, visit loveistheseed.com, learn about everything that Lisa's birthing in the world. You can visit, when you get to her website, you'll see a free gift there. And of course, her program, Empowered Mindview Divine Reset, a 4-week self-paced digital program. Lisa, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And until next time, my friends, choose love, choose joy, choose happiness. Blessings.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.